Years ago, I was in the United States Peace Corps right after I finished. Well, I was in undergrad in Boston and then I graduated. I was briefly working for a congressman and like sweating in a suit in DC every day in the middle of the summer, taking the train, the metro to Capitol Hill and thinking like, what? And this is not what I imagined adulthood to be. And about 2 weeks into that, applied for the Peace Corps. And after, the application and onboarding process, ended up in Panama in the Peace Corps for 2 years, basically living with an indigenous tribe in the jungle. No electricity, no cell phone service. I mean, occasionally I'd go to touristy areas, or I went home once for 10 days during the time I was there. But yeah, I was on like quite of an adventure. And the primary thing I did when I was there was help the women in the community who made these artisan crafts, basically bags completely made out of plants. And then they would use flowers to dye them. They were these beautiful designs, and I helped them effectively set up consignment agreements with gift shops throughout the country to sell their product. And yeah, I got really excited about entrepreneurship and really passionate about ways to help people with less access to opportunity, less access to capital markets, things like that. Forget capital markets. There was no electricity. So a long way off. But when I got done with the Peace Corps, I was thinking about ways to scale this arts and crafts business for them and get kind of exposure, maybe sell on Etsy or equivalent kind of online websites. And one of the issues that arose was there's no way to get these people I really cared about money. They didn't have bank accounts. They didn't have electricity. And during this time also concurrently was like when I left for the Peace Corps in early 2011, I had heard of smartphones, but they weren't ubiquitous. And by the time I got back, I was like, oh my God, these phones can do anything if you could just get people phones in their hands. And so I ended up starting a company setting up rural telecom networks, solar power telecom networks, but was trying to figure out how to get people money that didn't have bank accounts, and came across originally the service Ripple, which was in its infancy at the time. I was emailing back and forth with them, and they told me about this thing, Bitcoin, which was maybe a way to do direct remittances to people's phones. They were still working out their tech and stuff, but I got exposure to and found out about Bitcoin. And then it didn't end up really becoming feasible to do the remittances, but I sort of went down that rabbit hole. And for me, once you learn about Bitcoin, the kind of cultural, economic, philosophical, political, social consequences of what it can mean, it's sort of an endless well of fascination, and bought some back then at $9.